Assalamualaikum and very good day to everyone who are attend into this lovely conference for today. As everyone notice here, I'm Muhammad Amirul Hussain, and today I would like to present my research paper which is entitled The Exploring the Challenges Facing in Sustaining the Malay Cultural Landscape Element at Pantai Lido Waterfront, Malaysia. So in this lovely morning, my presentation will cover the background of the study, problem statement, a research question, the significance of the study, scope and limitation, and last but not least, the conclusion for my research paper. So without delay the due and we are wasting the time, let we move forward into our main presentation today. As everyone noticed, I would like to give a brief information regarding to my waterfront, which is my study is about waterfront and its development in townscape in Malaysia. So basically, waterfront is a very important component in any townscape development, which is it can create a primary place for a gathering, and thus waterfront also can provide a very high quality spaces, especially for a sociological and human activity. Thus, this situation can form the identity and character of place for this area. So moving forward, as we can see here, we living in Malaysia, we are blessed with a tremendous amount of natural resources that are widely spread across our waterfront, which is this kind of situation can provide a very great potential, especially for the economics and tourism sector. Furthermore, due to this situation, some of development become a more aggressively development and a rapid, and also due to the rapid city enlargement processes, most of the waterfront development in Malaysia are become deserted, unpleasant change, the alienated design, the environmentally harmful, and also it neglected the original setting that related to the social culture and landscape that once existed in this area, and consequently this situation has deteriorated the symbolism value of the place in this area. So moving forward, when we speaking about the neutralization of the cultural landscape in urban waterfront area, so we can see clearly this kind of situation is happen in a rapid development of the urban waterfront that located in Johor Bahru under the 5 flagship of the Iskandar Malaysia development known as a Pantai Lido. So nowadays, as we go to the Pantai Lido, the whole landscape in this area now transformed very dramatically, and thus this kind of situation also has created the shock and worriness among the local and the environmentalists. And surprisingly, this situation also including including the Singaporean who are concerned about the destruction that happened in Pantai Lido. So due to this also, to accommodate or to develop a more facilities in these beaches, so the beaches has been reclaimed to conduct the multi-billion-dollar worth of a development, and Pantai Lido has lost its old charm that surrendered to the development. So while moving forward into the next slide, it show the location of the Pantai Lido, which is located at the southmost of Peninsular Malaysia in Johor Bahru. As we can see here in the yellow territory, this is a location of the Pantai Lido in Johor Bahru. So as we can see in the next slide, this is a timeline that happened, the timeline that show the morphology change that happened in Pantai Lido from the 1950 up into the 2020. As we can see here, there are a lot of the changes that happen in this area. So moving into the next stage is what are the main problem that lead into the what we call the challenges in way to designing the emblematic Malay cultural landscape in Pantai Lido. Because as we can see, as we looking back into the historical timeline, so we know that Pantai Lido is a beautiful scenery that have lot of the magnificent landscape along there. But due to the aggressive development, all of this has been changes and has been transformed into the urban jungle. So we're moving into the next slide is what are the issue, what are the issue that lead in, what are the problem that lead into the challenges is due to the urbanization, rapid development, insensitive development, also due to the sea reclamation, and last but not least, due to demolition and dislocation the original setting. That's one become a landmark or significant for the Pantai Lido that has been demolished or moved away far from the original setting. While we moving into the next slide is a main problem that lead into this kind of a problem is due to the lacks of the rule and regulation in way to emphasize the importance of the Malay cultural landscape characteristic as part of design development, and most of the design guideline regard to the waterfront are still inadequate or less provide in detail the aspect on how to preserve the Malay culture and landscape characteristic in along the waterfront in Malaysia. So the main objective of this study is to exploring the challenges are facing in sustaining the Malay cultural landscape element at Pantai Lido Waterfront, Malaysia, as a potential cultural landscape design strategy in way to mitigate the deterioration of the cultural landscape area at the said location by the research question, which is first thing first, we need to know what are the challenges that are faces in designing cultural landscape at Pantai Lido. Then the objective, of course, we want to investigate the challenges that are faces in designing cultural landscape at Pantai Lido. So moving into the next slide is what are the significance of the study, which is for my paper, it will divide into two categories, from the theory and the practical. From the theory is some of the past study. Most of the theory that related to the waterfront are more based more based in international base, because there are still lacks of the theory in Malaysia that regard to the waterfront development, especially especially in Malay cultural landscape. And then the practical this paper can be used by the next young researcher or the next scholar that have same interest in way to study about the Malay cultural landscape in urban waterfront area. And then the next stage is a scope and limitation during this paper has been done. Of course, the first is focus of the study, and then the methodology. So for the methodology used in my study is will use a qualitative research method by emphasis of the case study, and then the finding it will fill the gap on the lacks of the urban waterfront design in terms of the Malay cultural landscape. And last but not least is the conclusion of the study. In my study, it will analyze the challenges that are faces in designing cultural landscape at Pantai Lido, as well as to provide a visual illustration of the framework for the developing the symbolism of the Malay cultural landscape in urban waterfront at Pantai Lido. Okay, and then the next is I think that's all from my presentation for today. Thank you and have a good day for everyone.